question here, maybe for one of the tallest guys in the room, the gentleman who would like to be the fearless leader of Detroit and is up for election here, Dave Ding.
Morning, Governor.
Good morning.
The stimulus package that we've been really talking about, there's a formula that suggests how much money is going to come to Detroit. What is the criteria for the distribution of that, and what's the timing of it?
Well, as I say, there's actually 100 different programs that the formulas are distributed through. For example, Detroit Public Schools, by formula, will get a big chunk of money through special education and through Title I dollars. Detroit will get a chunk of money through neighborhood protection. Detroit will get a chunk of money for roads. Detroit will get a chunk of, but they're all for very specific programs. Those specific programs and the regulations surrounding those programs are all being drafted, especially if they are dollars that are competitive dollars. They're being drafted by departments in Washington right now. So they may shoot to us at different times depending on the grants. But the formulas themselves are all already preset. And those are the dollars that people normally would be getting. They're just more of them. So we don't have the discretion on how those are decided. That's all done already through the formulas that were adopted in the Stimulus Act. And much of those have come. Let me just say one other thing. The legislature has to approve all of those stimulus dollars. They have to appropriate them. So yesterday, for example, they approved the first bill that allowed us to let contracts for road building across Michigan, which we have to let the contracts on April 2nd. That's great. There's a second bill that they are considering, which will have a lot of the other formula dollars in it. They, I hope, will approve that by next week so we can get those dollars flowing. But the competitive grants will come at different times, and that's why I urge people to look at the website, because as soon as we get information about what the requirements are regarding those grants, we'll post them and allow people to have access to going after those dollars.
Governor, you have been a cheerleader for the state, going to Washington, other states, talking up the auto industry, yet we're at a point where the industry is fighting to get its share out of Washington with loans and other things. As one question here said, it's the Rodney Dangerfield that gets no respect in Washington. Why do you think the auto industry is in this situation when they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on lobbying and governmental affairs efforts that they still are not getting their message out clearly to Washington, so that they're having to go begging for monies for loans when other industries and things like AIG are not?
That's the $64,000 question. Weren't we all shocked at the treatment that the auto industry has received from Washington? I mean, believe me, I'll be in Washington today again. I've gone 3 times this week to make this case on behalf of Michigan and our automakers. I know that the automakers themselves, the suppliers, everybody has been through those doors of the Automotive Task Force making this case. We have not been successful in convincing the public of the importance of the domestic auto industry. I think they see it as a Detroit problem and not as a national problem. And this is why, to the extent that any of you are in national organizations and can be voices for this industry, overall, it's so important that we stress this is a loan, this is not a gift, this is 5 million jobs across the country. It's the backbone of manufacturing. Do we not want to manufacture things in this nation? If we want to have economic security going forward, national security, then we have to be able to make things. Unlike AIG and others who were making money just by flipping paper, we actually make money, or we used to, by making things. And we need to be making things, manufacturing things in this nation. That we know that some of that manufacturing, believe me, we are the bottom line. We are ground zero of the manufacturing that's gone to low-wage countries. But we also know that advanced manufacturing, the battery technology, there's 3,000 parts in a vehicle. Those 3,000 parts are made by businesses across the land. It's not just the car industry. It's the steel industry. It's the glass industry. It's the plastics industry. It's the rubber industry. It's the electronics industry. All of that goes into the car. It's the most technologically advanced, mass-produced product in the world. And if we want to be energy independent as a nation, and we're producing the electric vehicle, how are you going to get there if you're not having the means to produce energy storage through the battery in your car? Bottom line, we have not, as a state, the industry, been as loud, perhaps, or as effective over the course of time as perhaps some others have. And I think that's our problem. They see SUVs and they think, well, SUVs mean that Detroit is out of touch. We need to be singing the fact that we make quality products, that we make fuel-efficient products, and that we're going to lead our nation to energy independence and not be the Luddites that are dragging the train.
While we hope you enjoyed this morning's discussion, we trust you found it also informative. The governor took great pains to remind everyone Michiganders are tough and resilient. We believe that too, and are happy to have brought you some of the solutions and issues discussed that morning at the DAC. That's it for today's show. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with our regular format. Until then, I'm Carol Kane.